Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about every single book that I have read in 2025 so far. I don't know if this will be one whole video or if I'll split it into the 2 quarters that we've had so far. I'm really excited to talk about these books. Some of these books it feels like I haven't read in years, so we'll see if I can remember anything about them. But without further ado, this video is already going to be very long, so let's just get straight into the books that I've read in January. I'm using my Goodreads on my phone because I am sure that I am not going to remember all of these and in what order that I've read them. And some of the books I do not own the physical copy of. I borrowed them from the library or read an ebook version of them, so I don't have the actual physical copy. If you see me glancing down at my phone a lot, that is why. The first book that I read for 2025 is Coming Home by Karen Kingsbury, and I was in a really big Karen Kingsbury mood, I guess, in 2023 and in 2024. She's what really kind of got me back into reading in a way, to where I started exploring reading again, and then I read a Sarah Sundin book and it like really got me obsessed with reading. But Karen Kingsbury was always my favorite Christian fiction author, and I just love her writing. I think it's so easy to read. I really enjoy Karen Kingsbury. I read the Baxter family series last year, and now I'm reading like the new Baxter family series. It's a newer series. It's not super new, but a newer series that reintroduces us to the Baxter family, and then we get to meet other characters as well. So you'll hear me talking about those books a lot. I want to finish all of those by the end of this year. We'll see if that happens. Okay, so Coming Home is an emotional story. It's not like any of the other Baxter family books that I have read. A beautiful emotional story, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed it. It was a good ending to the Baxter family because I think this is the last book before like the new series, and it was a very good ending to close it all together. It was very emotional, but I enjoyed it a lot. Next is The Nightingale by Kristin. I heard so many things about this book last year, 2024, and so I really wanted to read it. I finally bought a copy of it, and I was very scared to read it because of how big it is. I haven't read like very many thick books besides Sarah J. Maas's, what series is that? ACOTAR series. That's like the big books that I read, and even those were intimidating. So it did take me a while to start this book and to get into it, and honestly it didn't do anything for me really. Like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be based on all the reviews that I've heard. I was expecting it to be super emotional. I was just expecting a lot more from it, and it's still a good story and I still enjoyed it a lot. I think I gave it 4 stars, but it wasn't as emotional as I expected it to be, and because of that it wasn't as good as I thought it could have been. Next is Conceal, Don't Feel, and this is part of the Twisted series. Is that what it's called? Twisted? The Twisted Tale series. And I did enjoy it. It was very much like the movie, and I think that was kind of a downside of it, is that it almost was too much like the movie. I wanted more of a twist on it than I got. Also, I think it's a little bit more juvenile. I think this would be a good read for like a younger child, but I did mostly enjoy it. I think I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars maybe. It was okay. Next is a book I got from the library, A Baxter Family Christmas. This was the Christmas novella for the Baxter family that came after the Coming Home book. I really enjoyed that book as well. I think this is the book that really made me hate the character Ashley. I haven't liked Ashley Baxter probably since the beginning. Like, she was always annoying to me. I could tell that she was like the writer's favorite. All about her. She can do no wrong. Like, there's just a lot of things about her that I just couldn't stand. And in this book specifically, I was getting super annoyed at her. And so that did take down the rating a little bit. I think I rated it, it looks like I rated it 4 stars, so it's still pretty high, but I really was annoyed by Ashley, and I loved Maddie in the book. I actually really don't remember this book much, but yeah, I can remember that it wasn't like great like Karen Kingsbury's other novels have been, but I still enjoyed it a lot. Next is Pride and Prejudice, and I technically DNF'd this book at like 80%, I think. I just could not get into it, and I was tired of forcing myself to read it. I tried listening to the audiobook version of it to see if that would help, and I just couldn't get into it. Eventually, I just watched the movies with my husband, but I barely even paid attention to them. I just couldn't get into it. And I'm starting to realize that this time period I really don't like. And I've realized that more as I've read other books in this time period and even this year. I was talking to a friend and she was like, do you like the Regency, however you say that, genre? And I was like, Now that I think about it, I liked like 2 books that I read in that genre, and like every other one I don't like. So I'm wondering if that's why I don't like some of these books, is because I just don't like the genre. So yeah, this was kind of a DNF. I didn't like it that much, to be honest, and please don't hate me for that, because I know this is a super popular book, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries. And I remember loving that book so much. It was so cozy. I thought it was going to be my first 5-star read of the year. It ended up not being. It's 4.5. I loved it. The writing style was great. The coziness was great. I loved that it was like low stakes but still had the fantasy element to it. I really enjoyed it a lot. Next is my mom's book. I wanted to do a study on the Beatitudes, and my mom wrote a book on the Beatitudes and about choosing to be happy, and I love this book so much. I did give it 5 stars. She's my mom, of course I had to give her 5 stars, but it also is so good. I've seen so much of my mom's testimony written in this book, and those were definitely my favorite parts of the book. I think this book is good for like anybody. Like, it's very easy to read, and it's split up into a lot of parts so that it's easy to read and you don't have to read it all in one sitting. So first is insight, where you take a look at the actual beatitude, and then there's illustration. So she takes another Bible story from the Bible and shows you how that beatitude applies. And then she takes her own personal testimony, a story from her own life, how that beatitude applies to her own life. So it is really good. I think everyone should read it. It is my mom's book, so I am a little bit biased, but still, it is so good. You should go read it. I have that book linked in my description so you can buy it from, I think she has it on Amazon, but I think she has it at other bookstores too, I don't know. Next is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I'm pretty sure this was the first book that I read by Francine Rivers. I really like her style of writing, and the taking like a Bible story and making it into like a fictional story. This one specifically, I really enjoyed. It helped me understand the story of Hosea better. I remember like getting so much insight from it and understanding so much more from the actual book of Hosea in the Bible. It was really good. There is a lot of trigger warnings in this book. I would not recommend it to anyone for sure. It's more of a mature book, but it is pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. Next is The Frozen River, and this was my first like real 5-star read of the year. Obviously my mom's book, but like since it's nonfiction, I don't know if that really counts. But this book was really good. It sucked me in, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And then I started listening to the audiobook of it, and I enjoyed it so much. I can't really remember anything about this book anymore for some reason, but I just remember loving it so much. Another Karen Kingsbury book, the next one of the series, is called Love Story, and I didn't write anything about it, but I gave it 3 stars. So I'm guessing I really didn't enjoy this one a whole lot either, but it was okay. So I don't know, take that with a grain of salt because I don't remember that book at all. Next, I read The Daniel Plan. I started this at the end of last year, December 2024. This book is so insightful. I don't agree with everything in this book, which I think that goes with every book that you read. You're not going to agree with everything, but there was a lot of good tips and tricks in here that I enjoyed reading about and have been implementing into my life, and I have been seeing some good results from it. So I did enjoy this book a lot. I'm not doing the actual Daniel plan, but there were some like just helpful tips on how to live a healthier lifestyle, and I loved the way that they tied it back into 1 Corinthians 10:31, how everything that we do should glorify God, whether we eat or drink, all of it should be to the glory of God. That really stuck with me, and I think that's the main thing that I took away from this book, is that whenever I'm eating, like, this is supposed to be glorifying God too. So it makes me think before I eat too many Doritos or whatever I'm trying to indulge in. It has helped me to stop and think. So this book was really good, and I did enjoy it. And then I read 2 books by Sarah Sundin that are part of a series, the Wings of Glory series, A Distant Melody and A Memory Between Us. And the first one that I read, A Distant Melody, I loved that book a lot. I gave it 5 stars. I don't remember anything about it, so I don't really know what to say about it. But I do remember the second one I read, and it was my first Sarah Sundin book that I just didn't like. It took me so long to get through it. I really wasn't enjoying it, and I wanted to DNF it the whole time, but I don't like DNFing books. Like, I just can't. So I read it just to see what the ending was, and it was just really disappointing. I actually rated it 2 stars, and every time I talk about Sarah Sundin, I say there hasn't been a book that I've read that's been under 5 stars. And I still say that, even though this book technically was 2 stars. But like, her writing is so good, so I don't want to judge the rest of her books based on this one 2-star review, because most of her books are so good, and I just love them so much, and I can't talk bad about them because they're just so good. But this specific series is definitely not one of my favorites, and so I actually never read the third book yet, and I'm scared to do so because I don't want to not like it. And then also there's another series that I really wanted to read at the beginning of the year. I was like super excited to read it, and I haven't read that one yet either because I'm just so nervous that I'm not gonna like it. And I don't want to dislike Sarah Sundin's books, so that's why I haven't read on. I started reading another Francine Rivers book. Oh, I actually have it. This is like the series A Lineage of Grace, which is I think 5 women of the Bible that are in Jesus's lineage, and it's like a fictional story based off of that. This one was Tamar. I learned so much about Tamar in this book. I really didn't know a lot about her story and her relationship with Judah. I did not know that. I don't know how I missed that in my Bible reading and going through a college course that literally you go through the Bible so much and learn everything about it. Like, I don't know how I missed Tamar. I knew little bits of her story, but not to that degree for sure. So I learned so much about that in this book, and I really enjoyed it. I need to finish this book. I actually forgot about this book and these novellas. I was trying to read one every single month, and then I forgot about it. So I'm glad I remembered, and now I need to read these for this month. We are back to Karen Kingsbury again. Next is In This Moment, and this one doesn't even have a rating to it on Goodreads. I think at this point when I'm rereading the Baxters, I'm starting to realize maybe I am not a huge fan of Karen Kingsbury's writing. Like, it is very cliche. A lot of her stories are like exactly the same, and I hate to say anything bad about her because she is one of my favorite Christian fiction authors. There's just so many reasons why I don't want to say anything negative about her writing, but the truth is I really am not a huge fan of it anymore. But I'm still going to read all of her books. Like, I just have to. And I think this one I actually did like a little bit. Like, it was one of the higher ones, maybe even 4 stars. Because this one was more like the legal side, and Luke was one of the main characters rather than Ashley. And I liked the side story, the other love interest couple. I enjoyed reading about that a lot. But I really don't remember a whole lot. I just remember there was like a principal. There were school things. I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that right now anyway. But I did enjoy it for the most part. And that is all for January. And actually, In This Moment was also a February book. I just forgot about that. So now we are into our February reading. I wanted to do a lot of romance books. I even have a video on my channel where I read like a bunch of romance books. So we have a little bit of an angle change because my camera died. Anyway, we're just going to continue on. We are now into our February read. Next we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and Lynn Painter has become one of my favorite authors. This was the first book that I read by her, and I just love her writing style. It is so easy to read. It is so cozy. They do have a lot of language in them, which I wish they didn't, but the actual stories themselves are just so good, so cozy, so sweet. And I love the MMCs, which is a male main character, in case you didn't know. It's just so cute. I love this book a lot. And Lynn Painter, she's so good. Her writing is so good. I can't wait to read more Lynn Painter books. This is a book by Mhari and McFarlane, which is If I Never Met You. And this one I rated 4 stars. I liked it a lot. It was like a fake dating and a office, what's that called? Office romance? I don't know if that's what that's called, sorry. Her book had a lot more cussing even. I did push through and finish this book, but I have started other Mhari McFarlane books, actually just one other Mhari McFarlane book, and I just could not do it with the language, so I don't think I'm going to read any more of her books just because of the language in them. Next is Love on a Whim by Suzanne Woods Fisher, and this is part of a series. I think it's the 3rd book of the series and the final book of the series. And I wasn't caring for the series too much to begin with. It just seemed kind of cliche and one of those like more cheesy Christian romance books. But this one I actually enjoyed a lot more. Next is Becoming Free Indeed by Jinger Duggar. And I got really into like the Duggar family this year because of that documentary, Happy Shiny People, or whatever that documentary was called. I got really into them. Started watching more podcasts with the Duggar family and stuff. Yeah, so I just wanted to read this book, and I thought it was okay. I didn't rate it because it was a nonfiction, and I just don't always rate nonfiction books. But yeah, that's why I read it, and I can't tell you anything about it because I don't remember. Next is How to Walk Away by Kathrine Center. I do know that I like this book a lot. In fact, I rated it 5 stars, or maybe it was 4.5, but I think it is going to be like a 4-star just because it wasn't really that 5-star experience. That, oh yeah, I think The Do-Over was also a 5-star, like, and I think I gave this one 4.5 stars, but really I think it deserves 5 stars. Like, I like this book a lot. And then How to Walk Away, I liked it, but I don't remember anything about it. And I feel like a 5-star is an unforgettable experience, and so it's definitely probably just 4 or 4.5 stars. Next is Just for the Summer. This is whenever I started a book club with my mom and sister. This was the very first book that we did. I picked this book. It was a book club read for another group that I was in that I haven't done any of those books in a while, but that's why I picked this book. I thought maybe doing it with my mom and sister would encourage me to read it more. And I'm so glad I did because I really enjoyed this book a lot. I gave it 5 stars, I'm pretty sure, like, or 4.5. It was really good. This one does have a good bit of language in it, which I do not like. I think it has one spice scene in it as well. It doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, but I skipped it, so I don't really know. But my sister said it didn't really go into much detail. But I love this so much. I remember loving the MMC so much. The girl does not deserve him. She does not. I did not like her character, but there's a lot of baggage there, a lot of things. But this story was really cool. I love the concept of it. The Magician's Nephew, which is one of the Chronicles of Narnia books by C.S. Lewis. I have this huge book that has all of the Chronicles of Narnia in them. I, once again, haven't really read any since this, but I really enjoyed this one. I think I rated this one 5 stars, and I really enjoyed the biblical elements of it. I read the first one and I didn't really see the allegories in it, but I definitely saw them in the second book, and I enjoyed it so much. Next is A Home for Her Baby by Gabrielle Meyer. This is another one where I'm like, I don't want to say anything bad about it because I love Gabrielle Meyer. I love her works. The Timeless series is my favorite series. I love all of her books. Are so good. This one is one of the, I can't remember, Love Inspired maybe is what it is. And I really didn't care for this book much. I think I rated it 3 stars. It took me a long time to like actually get into it, and I just didn't care for the storyline that much. You could tell that it was like much different than Gabrielle Meyer's Timeless series, for instance. Next is Positively Penelope. I read Authentically Izzy last year, and it was one of my favorite books of the year, and so I couldn't wait to continue the Skymore series. This book was so good. It was my top book of February and still one of my favorites of the year. I love this book so much, and Penelope, I loved her. But I think I loved Matt even more, who is like a grumpy guy. This is like a grumpy sunshine book, which has become my favorite trope ever. And I think it's because it's low-key my life. Me and my husband are like grumpy sunshine. It depends on the day on who's the grumpy and who's the sunshine. But anyway, yeah, I love this book. It was so cute. Next is The Hunger Games. I read this for the first time at my 21 years of age, and I got obsessed. Literally obsessed. I started reading this book, could not put it down, could not stop talking about it. And I remember reading this book and I couldn't dive right into the second and the third books because I was at my family's and I only brought this one, and I was so disappointed that I didn't bring the other ones. I love this book so much. If you haven't read The Hunger Games, do it. And now I think we're into March. I think this was also a March book. So we are into March now. Next is The Fur Trader's Lady by Gabrielle Meyer, and this one's 4 stars. It still did not live up to the Timeless series lore. I did not enjoy it as much as the Timeless series, and this is also one of those regency, I don't know how to say that word, and now I'm feeling so insecure about that. But that time period, like the early 1800s, I think is that time period, or is it 1700s? I don't even know. But not my favorite time period. This book was one of the better ones in this genre. I really enjoyed it. I loved, like, Charlotte was like pretending, she had to pretend to be a boy for safety from her uncle. There were like some things that made me feel uncomfortable about like the way that some of the fur traders would treat women in the book, but obviously that's a part of history, and Gabrielle Meyer wrote it in a very graceful way. But yeah, 4 stars for me. Next, I read The Wishing Game, and oh my goodness, this book, I loved it so much, and it was so hard to pick between The Hunger Games and The Wishing Game on which one will be my favorite of the month of March, because they both were so good. And also there was a third as well that I will talk about next, I'm pretty sure. Like, I was just reading good books back to back to back, and it was so hard to come up with a favorite. March is like probably my favorite month of reading because I read the most of my favorite books of this year. And it's also when I started my Bookstagram account, so I think that was also a huge part of it because I joined the community. I started posting my reviews and like making friends, and it just makes reading so much more enjoyable whenever you have that community. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, it's at Jaden Lachey's Bookshelf. Go follow me there because I am very consistent of posting on there. I post all my reviews. There's like fun book challenges that I like to do on there, and it is so much fun. So join me on there. But anyway, back to The Wishing Game. This book is so good. I think it's a teacher who has this relationship with her student, and she just really cares for him. He is a foster kid and she really wants to adopt him, but she just doesn't have the means to do that because of finances and her life, where she lives, things like that. It's just not super stable for a kid. And so she has this favorite book series, and the author hasn't written a book in years, and he finally writes a book. You can tell I really like this book because I remember all the details. I can't believe I remember all this. But anyway, he wrote a new book. He was going to give it away to somebody who would win this riddle game thing. So like, it's a bunch of riddles, which I did not get that part. That's not why I liked it so much. I probably didn't get a single riddle out of that book. I just love the story of it, and the woman, I don't remember her name, but like her and her relationship with her son, I literally was bawling my eyeballs out by the end of the book. It was so good. And also the author, I'm just gonna call him the author, he was called something though in the book, I just can't remember what it was, but I just loved all of those relationships tying in together. It was just a beautiful book. This was another top contender for March, one of my favorite books, and it still is one of my favorite books of the year. Powerless. This book is controversial for some reason. Actually, I know what the reason is. It does have the plot of a lot of other books, including The Hunger Games. It was funny to me that I read like 3 books that had like games in a row. Obviously The Hunger Games, and then The Wishing Game, and then this also had trials in it, which was kind of like The Hunger Games. And then also it's like other books, none that I have read before. But anyway, a lot of people talk about that. The writing isn't like great writing. I'm not here to talk about all the reasons you might not like Powerless. I'm here to convince you that it is so good. I love this book so much, and it was a little slower for me to get into. It's also a really thick book, so obviously that plays into it as well. But yeah, I remember reading this book, and I'm pretty sure there's a little love triangle going on in this book. I've read this in Reckless so far. I haven't finished the series yet, but I think there's a little love triangle going on between our female main character and the brothers Kit and Kai, I think. Oh my goodness, why am I blanking? Anyway, I remember reading this book and low-key rooting for Kit in the book, which is the other brother that I don't think we're supposed to be rooting for. I think we're supposed to be going for Kai. I don't remember. Anyway, it ends on a cliffhanger, which I hated because I really wanted to read the next book and I didn't have it. But also it was so crazy. Like, it was just so crazy what happened at the end. It made me think so much differently about the characters. There was just a lot. I love this book though. Next is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is number 2 in the Hunger Games, and I don't know if I like this one even more than Hunger Games. When I first read them, I always said that I did like this one more, but I don't know. I always go back to the original because I just love the first book of a series that like really grips you and draws you into the series and makes you obsessed with the other books. So that's why I feel like I like the Hunger Games better. But this book was jaw-dropping. My jaw was on the floor. I was shook, to say the least. I can't say much about this book. I do have a whole video of me reading the Hunger Games series if you want to check that out. But yeah, crazy. Next is Mockingjay, and this book lost it for me a little bit. Like, I enjoyed it. I wanted to continue reading it, and it was like really thrilling, and like just like the other books, so hard to put down because like the chapters just, I don't know what it is about the writing that like you do not want to stop. And this one also had some like turns, I think, but this one just wasn't as good as the other ones. The characters weren't the same to me. Like Katniss, she just was not the strong Katniss that I remembered. And Peeta, don't even get me started on Peeta. I just was so upset over the whole situation on what happened in this book. But the epilogue was so cute. It's worth it just to read that. But yeah, there's some things in this book that just make me so upset. But I still loved it. I feel like I read so many books in March. Either that or I've just been talking a lot about the books that I have read. Next is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. And I gave this book 3 stars or 3.5 stars. I don't know why I rated it so low. I would probably give it 4 stars. I love the story. I love the writing. and my sister is obsessed with Ali Hazelwood, and I can see why. Her writing is so good. I enjoyed it so much. I love the story so much. And this one's like about chess. Because of this book, I started like even liking the chess moments, and at the end there's like a big tournament that happens, and they just like kind of announce the winners. They don't really talk about like what happened in the tournament, and like I remember being so disappointed in that. There are a lot of topics in it that I don't know if those are called trigger warnings too, if it's like just a little bit more mature. Things like language and like some spice stuff. I don't know if there's actually a spice scene or not, but I know there's like spicy details mentioned, like they just talk about things, and there is like an LGBT character kind of. So like those type of things I do want to mention, like look that up for yourself, but I did really like this book a lot. Next, I finished the next Hunger Games book. I tried to read this immediately after Mockingjay, but I did not like this book. I wish I never read it, honestly. Like, I regret reading it. It was so slow, so boring, so annoying. I don't know. I just hated it. And I feel like one of the main reasons why is because I was spoiled and already knew a lot of things that were going to happen, specifically with snow, and I don't want to like say anything that might give it away for somebody else who might read it. I didn't get to experience this book the way I think I was supposed to experience it without the spoilers, because I watched the movie and I loved the movie of this. I loved it. The other movies didn't care for that much, especially Mockingjay. Like, I was about to fall asleep at Mockingjay, like didn't care for it at all. And the other movies too, like the books are just so much better. But with this book, the movie was better. Next is Heart of a Princess by Hannah Curry, I think. This might be an indie author actually, which I didn't realize it when I read it. I mean, it might not be anyway. I don't know if she has a publisher or not. Now I'm so embarrassed about saying that. Anyway, it is like a smaller author, not really well-known author, and I read the first book of this series, Heart of a Princess. That's what this is called. Heart of a Royal, maybe? I don't know. And I love that book so much, and I couldn't wait to read the rest of them. Finally, I just went ahead and purchased this book. It was different than the first book for a lot of reasons, and the main character, I can't remember her name, Elena maybe, was really annoying to me, but like I understand where she was coming from. Like, it was annoying in a way that was realistic, and so in her character development by the end, I just loved it. And the love story, I think the love story wasn't my favorite, and that's another reason why it's kind of lower rated. I mean, it's not lower rated, it's 4 stars. It's still good. It was good. I liked it. The first book is better. And next we have Sunrise on the Reaping. This is the new release of the Hunger Games series. And whenever I read the Hunger Games, I didn't know there was going to be a new book. Like, a lot of people read the Hunger Games for the first time because this book was coming out. And even though I read like these books in March, it was not because of the release. In fact, I read it, and one of my friends, one of her favorite series is the Hunger Games. And she told me that they were going to write a new story, where that Suzanne Collins already wrote the new story and it was about to come out with Haymitch's character. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, I was like thrilled that there was going to be this story, but I didn't know when I first started it. And obviously I didn't like grow up on these books, or, you know, like it's not the same experience for me because I did read them as an older person. And so this book wasn't as good as I feel like most people are obsessed with this book, and it's not the same for me. I loved this book a lot. I loved reading Haymitch's games and like getting to know him better and his characters better. And I was just there for the ride. I was loving the storyline and stuff. I do feel like I am part of the problem because I really enjoy reading about the games and seeing what's going to happen. Some of the things that happen in this book are just devastating, and I can't imagine the movie, especially now that the cast is being announced, and seeing some of those tributes and like seeing them so tiny. Oh my goodness, it's going to destroy me. I know it is. But the actual book like wasn't super emotional for me. I'm not a super emotional person when it comes to reading books or watching movies anyway. It takes a lot for me to cry. And so I was really wanting this book to make me cry, and it didn't. And I feel like that's another reason why I didn't like it that much. Maybe that seems silly, but that's true. And that was the true with Kristin Hannah's The Nightingale too. I was expecting it to make me cry, and it didn't, and that's why I didn't like it as much. So if a book is supposed to be emotional and it doesn't emote me, I'm sorry. It's probably going to lack a star. But I did like this book a lot, and I love the Hunger Games so much. I can't wait for this movie. I think the movie is going to be better, just like with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was better. The movie was better. I think the same is going to be true for this movie, and I can't wait to read it. I mean, I can't talk. I can't wait to watch it. Finally, we are at the last book. I feel like I've been talking forever. I don't know how long this video actually is after editing, But I feel like I've been talking forever. This is the last book for the first quarter of 2025, and it is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I told you earlier that I loved Lynn Painter's writing, and this was a book club book actually. My sister picked this one for the month of March, and I'm so glad she did because I already wanted to read this book anyway, but it sped up the process of me reading this book, and I love this book so much. Wes, probably my favorite MMC. I feel like he's probably my favorite MMC. I loved him so much, and I think this is another book where the female just doesn't really deserve him, because why was she being so stupid? She was annoying me so much reading this book, but it was in a good way. Near the end, I was just reading this book and I could not stop because I had to know what was going to happen. I had to see that happy ending, and it finally came. But yeah, this book is so cute. I loved it so much. One of my favorite romances for sure. One of the books that I can't stop talking about to this day. I loved it. I love Lynn Painter. I love Better Than the Movies. I love Wes. And that is all of the books that I read in the first quarter of the year. That is a lot of books, I feel like, especially talking about them. My voice feels like it's about to leave me, and I still have to film a part 2 of this. So my favorites of the months were The Frozen River for January, Positively Penelope for February, and The Hunger Games for March. Like I said, it was so hard to decide a favorite for March. I had so many good books in March, and obviously a lot of books in March because it felt like I was talking for a very long time there. Yeah, it was so hard to pick between Hunger Games, Powerless, Better Than the Movies, The Wishing Game. Eventually the Hunger Games did win because this book was just it really sucked me in, and plus the other books along with it, it was just so good. So this book did get crowned the winner. This is my favorite book of the first quarter as well. In the next video, you can see me talk about the books of the second quarter of the year, and so you should go watch that video next when it comes out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I wasn't too annoying, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.